Ciao, tutti! Welcome to our explanation of why in the world we decided to move to a farmhouse in Italy. So, everyone's been asking. It's the hot button issue, and I just think we wanted to sit down and just kind of
explain ourselves.
Yeah, not necessarily explain ourselves, but just kind of go through the process of, what we were thinking, how we came to this decision, the thought process behind wanting to do this, and kind of where we are now. Kind of just you've been here maybe 3 weeks. I've been here almost 2 months. So it's, let us begin.
So I think for me, one of the first things that kind of made me think about moving, especially internationally, was during this whole pandemic year. I was just working from home, and I saw this website. It was Asher and Lyric, I think it was called. I'll obviously link it, but it was this mom who made this whole thing. Do you remember the website? It was a going country by country, and it was rating them on how their healthcare is, how their schools are, and all this stuff, safety, and just rating a bunch of countries. And US, I think, was 49 out of 50. It was really low. And it was just I don't know, it made me start thinking about what do I actually want? And I definitely want a family. Do I want a family in this low rating country? And it's even without having seen that, it was I've had my own experiences there in the US, and it was I don't know that I want to bring up anyone else in that. So that coupled with spending all of my time at home, not even being able to enjoy Los Angeles I'd always been enjoying it, made me really reprioritize my own goals. And it was well, I want to be able to be at home and actually raise my children. I don't want to have to be working to death all the time just so I can even afford to have these children. It's so counterintuitive. And so it was well, I guess then I don't really need Los Angeles anymore. And that was a huge realization for me to even come to, because I thought I was going to live and die in Los Angeles. I love Los Angeles, but Los Angeles no longer loved me.
So at least twice a year we do these core values, and they're all these little slips of paper, and there's maybe 100 of them, and you start with them all over the table, and then you kind of do 60 and then 40 that you don't want. Then you pare it down to another 20, then it's down to 10, then 5, and then you're finally left with these 4 core values. And we take a picture each year to kind of see how they've changed, see how they've grown, and it kind of shows you how you've grown. I think really shined a light on what had changed in us over that year inside. That inside the house, not just inside us, but staying inside the house, that really kind of made us rethink what our 5-year plan, even our 2-year plan, was going to look like. Because we'd lived in that apartment for going on 2 years. You have nothing to show for an apartment. Bills.
And mean neighbors.
Yeah, and mean neighbors. I think the first assessment was a house. Outside of just selling it one day, it's yours. You own it. You can do what you want. You can make your own decisions. Everyone talks about home ownership, and I think that's something that was definitely lost for my generation, your generation, and you just can't.
Subsequent
generations. It's kind of a myth.
It's a pipe dream.
You can't even. It seems unattainable for sure, and definitely felt that way for us, especially in Los Angeles. You become accustomed to what your neighborhood has. That's why you chose to move there, right? Mm-hmm. But then after a year inside, none of those things hold any weight
Yeah.
to the decision-making process of living in that neighborhood.
Then I just started thinking about what I actually wanted, what my dreams were, what my goals were. Because like I mentioned, for a long time, it was to live in Los Angeles. So now that was removed, I had to think, well, then what do I actually want? What do I see? What do I envision for the rest of my life? And it was like, well, I want a pool. I want a family, and I want a dog. And it was like, that's it. That's all I want. And that really like opened everything up for me, because then I was able to bring that to Ian. And I for some reason, I don't know why, but I started calling the whole kind of idea the farm. I was thinking of Mice and Men, how, they're always fantasizing about like, one day they're going to have all this land with like the rabbits and stuff. If you remember your 10th grade English class.
I love Steinbeck.
It was just like this shiny, perfect thing. Like, this is everything that I want. This is like my ultimate dream, my ultimate goal. That was the farm. So then I really wanted to know what Ian's farm was and see how we could make both of those, an even bigger farm. So then we could figure out how to do it, because it's like one of those things. Once you know, you can never unknow it. Once you know that's what you want.
Yeah.
How anything that you do that's not, towards that goal, you're playing yourself, honestly.
Once we started looking at all the actions and all the things we were doing on a day-to-day basis, some of them weren't aligning with owning a house, having a dog and having a family. And so it was, you got to really reassess what you do day to day that will actually lead towards you completing your goal. Mm-hmm. My 3 dreams were to get out from under debt, not have to pay bills and just pay rent any longer. So I guess own a house. Then it was, the other dream is to own a brewery. Then I wanted to live and work in the brewery. And we were looking, and in America, that was a lot more difficult. We took a trip in 2018 to Oktoberfest in Germany, and then after that, we did a Belgian brewery tour, and we went to Phantom and saw Danny is his name, and so he is this great brewer that makes delicious beer, but he lives and works in this tiny little brewery. He's got a small brew pub, but he lives upstairs, and we went to visit him, and then nobody was really answering, and then there was this woman there, and she called him, and then he just kind of popped out of the door like Kramer and was kind of like, oh, hi, yeah, I'm here, and then gave us this tour, and we got to drink his beer, and it was just like, this man is living. This is it. He just makes his own schedule, brews the beer that he wants to brew, and lives in his brewery. And it just felt so right. I don't know. It was just like, this guy got it figured out.
I knew that location didn't matter to me, but I knew that location would matter to you, because he does love traveling, and you do have this wanderlust personality. And one of the very first things you said to me early on in our relationship was that you wanted a community and you wanted somewhere to put roots down. And I really like that. I think of it as Bob's Burgers or Parks and Rec. You just know the whole town, but more Bob's Burgers. So it was trying to pull that out of you where that location was. And so we did talk about all these other states and stuff. And then it was well, do you want to live in America anymore? And that was I think a pretty easy no. Once we saw how difficult it was, none of this really actually lines up with what we want. So then where is it?
So I have a British passport and I have a US passport. So I'm a dual citizen. So yeah, the UK was kind of the first easiest answer to outside of America, because I already have a passport, we're married. It would be a lot easier to kind of get citizenship and be able to live and work. Because then once you start thinking, well, all right, well, I'm going to be an immigrant in this other country. How am I going to get a job? How am I going to be able to live? How are we going to be able to work? So all these things really started coming into play.
And then I think we just started to think about it, even more. And it was like, well, UK's kind of rainy.
It rains all the time. It's kind of cold. My mom and I took a trip to the south, to Cornwall, and it was still pretty cold and rainy quite a bit. And coming from California, we're very spoiled on, perfect weather all the time. So that became a factor, I think. We were dreaming. So if you're gonna dream, is the dream in the rain? It wasn't for me. So
no.
Yeah.
Every single step that we were taking was like getting progressively harder. So it was like, okay, we'll leave Los Angeles. Okay, moving out of state, that's going to be hard. Well, now I don't even want to live in the States. So moving internationally is going to be hard. But it's like, well, if it's the UK, like, yeah, I have the citizenship, so that'll be an easy move. Everyone already speaks English. Like, it would be a much easier transition. And I think like that's something that you get stuck on is like...
And that was hard. Yeah, speaking of just dreaming, I'm a pretty practical, problem-solving kind of person, and I would self-edit myself when trying to come up with what the dream was for me, because I would always think, well, this is easier, so this could be the dream, because this could be attained easier, or this could be completed. And then she kept pulling at me like, no, you're not just dreaming. Like, what? She was like, shook me one night. No, literally. Like, what is the dream? Like, stop editing. So you're not going to tell me in 5 years that you didn't have some other dream in your mind that, because this is going to be a big move. We've got to take advantage of not necessarily doing it all at once, but if we're going to put literally all the money that we have into something, it should be the right something, because then we're not going to have any more money to change our minds in a couple of years, or like, actually, I wanted this. And it's like, that's going to be a difficult, that's going to be even harder than this first run. And that was something else, was I was always taking her into consideration.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, no, just come up with what your dream is. Then we'll figure out how to make it work together. And that was just really hard. I
don't actually remember how it came up, but I do remember that it was like a weekend. It must have been like a Sunday or something, because I remember like the sun coming in and we were just kind of relaxing and we're sitting on the couch, and I think you said something about how this was like the first year that you hadn't traveled to Italy or something. And then he just started like telling all these like stories of past times that he's come. And it's like, and I've heard these stories, he tells them all the time, but I was just sitting there and I was watching him, and like literally like his face was like all lit up, and I was like, oh my God, you want to move to Italy? Of course. Like, duh, this whole time I was like, you don't want to move to London, you don't want to move to the UK, like you want Italy. Like, it's so obvious. It's so clear. And we immediately just like switched. I was like excited. I was like hot. I was like walking around the couch like, oh my God, of course, this whole time. Like, now we can, it just like all clicked. It made so much sense. And then we were like, okay, now we can get started.
Just for time frame reference for kind of how quick and crazy we were about this, was all through 2020, we were discussing this process. And then I think November was Italy. And then all through December, we were like only looking for places in Italy. And then it became more of my hesitation. I was finished dreaming and was back to being practical. I think. So it was 1 month away from Brexit finalizing. So my British passport means nothing. The US passport also means nothing for living in the EU. You can travel, sure, you can be a tourist, but it doesn't help relocation at all. Then we don't speak the language. That's another issue. We don't know anyone. Another issue. Really start thinking like, wow, this is going to be hard.
Yeah. Okay, so he was like, yeah, it's just going to be hard. And I'm like, what? You can't learn Italian? We can't learn Italian? Download Duolingo right now and start learning Italian. Big deal. Yeah. And it's like, everything is going to be hard. Everything is literally hard all the time. Did someone tell you life wasn't hard? Because they were lying to you. Life is literally always hard and is always going to be hard. Commuting to work was hard. Paying, 60% of your income on rent was hard. But we did it.
Yeah, we were doing it. Yeah, we were living in that time.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so if everything is hard, why can't I choose what's hard? Why can't I choose what to struggle on? That's the very least I can do.
And it's like, okay, now we have a goal.
Yeah.
What are the steps that we need to take that push us forward in this goal in every step?
Yeah, let's see if we can even find exactly what we are looking for. If we can find a house that hits everything on our list, because it's kind of a crazy list.
It's a bit of a crazy list. It's not the wackiest list, but it's,
but I think like one of the things we saw kind of immediately was like, oh, there is not a house in Italy with a pool in our price range.
No.
We keep sending listings back and forth to each other. And I think Ian had sent me one that he was like really excited about. And I don't remember why I didn't like it.
I don't think it had a pool.
Oh, well, there you go. It didn't have a pool. And I was like, I want a pool. I really, truly need a pool. And so I found 3. But this one just was gorgeous. Like, just gorgeous. Had like everything. And it was modestly priced. It was still
on the higher end of what we were wanting to spend, because euros and dollars, I don't know if anyone follows, the dollar is down.
I think even in the 3, it was the one that I was most excited about, and it was the one that you immediately gravitated towards as well.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh wow, look at this one, like forget whatever I had just sent you, like this is the one. And so then that's the one that we were spending all of our energy on. And even when we found our apartment in Los Angeles and, for all the shit talking we're doing about paying rent and stuff, it was actually an amazing apartment. I loved that apartment.
It's a great apartment.
It had, like, I remember walking in for the first time, like, had these beautiful windows in the living room with just like this big old tree. And it was like a 2-bedroom, had a dishwasher and the washer dryer. Like, it was a great, lovely, lovely, lovely apartment. And it was like an open house when we went and saw it, and like immediately, got the application. And I think I had sent it off that day.
We gave it to him before we left.
Like, quick. And just never heard back.
Never heard anything.
And then it's like a new month and the apartment's still there. And so I emailed the guy again, like, hey, I sent in my application like last month, whatever, blah, 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 like tell him we just got married, all this stuff. And then he just wanted like a separate application for Ian, and we like put it in and we got the apartment. And it was like, it just felt, I don't know, like fate is such a silly word, but that it just felt like, oh, that was our apartment. It was waiting for us. And that's how we felt about this house when we first saw the listing. And it like felt premature even to talk about it that way, but we started talking about it that way like pretty quickly. Like, that's our house. It has everything that we want. Like, that's for us. It is waiting for us.
Yeah.
And it is.
And it is, and it was. So I sent 3 emails, and then I think after the second week of January, we got an email back. and it was like, the house is still available. Here is like a layout of the land and some more information, and like the door had opened. And then so we were like, yeah, let's do it. I think we just like said yes almost immediately. And then she's like, okay, well, when are you going to come to look at it? You've got to come to Italy to see it and to sign whatever preliminary paperwork and all of this. So I find these kind of cheap round trips flying on Valentine's Day, and then we spent 10 days here.
Yeah. I remember like then later on telling a couple of people, and they were like, okay, or like, what other houses are you looking at and stuff? And I was like, we aren't. This is the one, because this has everything that we want. We don't need to look at any of the other houses, which sounds insane. Like, literally, I know.
It sounds a little naive for sure, but
that's a good word for it.
We were determined. Like, we picked it. This was the one, and it like kind of picked us too, I feel like, which, did we save the dog, or did the dog save us? Yeah, we see the house the next day, and we're just, I don't know, taken aback. It just felt right. As soon as we were driving up, it was just like, this is it. This is the house. And I think we signed the paperwork that day.
I mean, I guess it's just like manifestation and like goal setting.
Like I said, I didn't know what a 5-year plan was. And I think I know what it is, but to do it, to actually do it and stick with it, I think is the key to success. And it's a lot of these easy things you always hear, but once you really put it into motion, know that these are our goals. This is where we want to be. This is where we want to see ourselves. And then, no excuses. Every single decision leads to this. You're going to get there. It's because you're doing everything to get there.
It's really, really amazing. Like, if you can actually start to do it, because it's, when all your goals, all your dreams are completely aligned with all your actions, you can literally get anything. Literally anything and everything you want. Like, it's a great feeling. And that's how we knew, like, oh, that's our house.
Yeah.
Like, it like wasn't even a question, because we were doing everything we could to get it.
Yeah. And it sounds naive. It sounds, dreamy or whatever. There's still a lot of hard work. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of sacrifice. There's a lot of decision making that you have to do, and a lot of hard work to get all these things done. And you can choose anything. This is what we chose, and we're working hard every day to get it done. What we've been able to achieve here in this decision making is a more free way of living that might have been more difficult or even impossible in our current situation where we were living just 5 months ago. Like, it has been a really quick turnaround for us. We've made these decisions and really pushed forward on something that's really completely changed our lives within 6 months. And
dang, that's crazy.
It's all working slowly, but all funneling into something that we've both decided is going to be the best thing for us. We just cut out all the other things that weren't serving this vision, which is hard to do, and it is a sacrifice. But then at the end of it, we're going to be a lot better off 5 years from now when the house is paid off, when there aren't any bills really, when, the economics of this made a lot more sense in the long run than continuing to struggle in an apartment in Los Angeles for us. For us, This was the best choice we could have made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, I think we'll just wrap up here. So we're going to we're going to commit to doing one YouTube video a month on this account. And then there's the Kashina Tukasana account on Instagram where we'll be posting, photos and reels as we go along. Yeah. And then we have our own Instagrams at Ian Isit, at Yo-Yo Costa. Those will all be linked below so you guys can see everything that we do. Share the struggle with us.
Yeah. Come follow along on our journey. We'll see? Butterflies. Wow. Well, so follow along with us, and we'll keep giving you step-by-steps of our crazy idea that it's turning out. With a lot of hard work, you can make your dreams come true.